One for every single size. That's really one of the things that sets Jackery apart from so many of its competitors. They pretty much have a unit for every single need, regardless of the situation. Everything from running a house, off-grid cabin, RV, expandable, even with the smart home panel so it works with the grid. The Jackery 5000 Plus is one of my absolute favorite units of all of the units that I've tested. Now, they also have their HomePower3000, which is meant to be portable power that is a lot of power in one single brick, which is designed to be a UPS or small backup supply for running essentials such as a refrigerator, freezer, lights, fans, and those kinds of things, while having more power than the Jackery Explorer 2000, and this is their V2 version. This is more focused on overlanding, small backup power, recharging laptops, phones, drones, things on the go, where you need a lot of output power and a lot of battery capacity, but don't want to break the bank. Not really focused on a large home backup system, may be good for something like a sump pump. All the way down to the Jackery Explorer 1000, which is a very portable, powerful system for just power on the go. I mostly use this for recharging my laptop and my portable batteries for my Milwaukee and Ryobi tools. And last but not least is the Jackery 300. This tiny little power brick is essentially that, is a power brick, but you have the option to get 300 watts of AC output power. With a 294 watt-hour lithium iron phosphate battery in here, this thing actually packs quite the punch as being a very powerful yet very small system to take with you on the road or on the go. My name is Ben and this is the Minuteman Solar YouTube channel. I wanted to take you on a journey through the Jackery systems so that way you can see if there's a unit that works for you, but to also be aware of the pros and cons of these systems made by Jackery. These all definitely have a place in the solar generator market, but there are some major drawbacks with some of the units that you'll definitely want to be aware of. Starting off with the Jackery 5000, this truly is one of my absolute favorite large powered solar generators because this has a 6,000 watt pure sine wave inverter, meaning it's going to be able to run a lot of power to your whole house, and it has a split phase inverter already built into it. Even though you may not be using more than 120 volt circuits in your house, you still have two legs of 120 volt power in your electrical panel. So the way that it works is the top row is actually leg 1. And then the second row is leg 2, and alternating every other row is going to be leg 1. Simply what that means is when you look inside of an electrical panel, you have two big metal bus bars. And oftentimes people get confused thinking that this is leg 1 and this is leg 2. That's actually not the case. It's the first, third, fifth, seventh, and so on that are leg 1, and the second, fourth, sixth, eighth of leg 2. And that's why when you have a 240 volt breaker, it has two breakers on the same side of the electrical panel. So even if I didn't have any of these larger 240 volt breakers, if I only had 120 volt breakers and I wanted to run power to my whole house, I would still need to supply at least two legs of 120 volt power. But because I do have 240 volt split phase breakers, I do need two legs of 120 volts and they have to be out of phase. We're not going to get into the details of that in this video, but simply put, 120 volts is called single phase, 240 volts is called split phase. So the 240 volt split phase output is between these two outlets. You can use an L1430 or a 1450 plug. Either way, you're only going to get 6,000 watts out of either of these, but they do supply two of those plugs. This AC expansion port here is for using their smart home panel, where you can take two Jackery 5000 Pluses, tie them into a smart home panel, and then you can automatically back up to 12 circuits in your house. What that means is as soon as the grid power is gone, these will immediately take over and continue running those 12 circuits without any interference from you. This is called an automatic transfer switch. It's a really nice feature, but the limitation is that you can only run up to 12 circuits. This here is called a generator inlet. It goes with my interlock switch. What that means is I can plug in this big cable here into the Jackery 5000 and into this inlet, and that's going to backfeed power to my whole electrical panel. Then I flip a switch, it's that metal switch that you saw in the top of my electrical panel, and that turns off all grid power or all other power coming in, and then only allows my solar generator power to be feeding the house. The advantage of this is I can bring power to my entire electrical panel, but the disadvantage is this is a manual transfer switch. I have to physically move the breaker over. It won't do it automatically. But the reason why the Jackery 5000 Plus is one of my favorite units is because they did something different with this unit that they haven't done on any of their other units. They added their own MC4 connectors. This is the most common solar connector in the world. That means I can take any solar panel that has MC4 4 connectors and tie them directly into this, and I can get up to 4,000 watts of solar input, which is very impressive for a unit of this size. In addition to that, they still included 2 proprietary 8mm Jackery ports. So if I wanted to use like their 500 watt folding solar panels, I could still get more power into the system by using these plugs right here. Now for the rest of the video, when I'm going over these other units, this is going to be my biggest gripe with all of the other Jackery units. You are stuck with using their 8mm proprietary connection. Now you can get some adapters, that way you're not stuck with using their solar panels. That said, their solar panels are good. I get good output from them. A traditional solar panel, it's normal to get 80% of the rated output in real output. With the Jackery panels, repeatedly I've gotten over 90% output and even sometimes full 100% output. That's partly due to the fact that they use bifacial solar panels for some of their folding panels. So if you do need lightweight, portable folding panels, then great, go with the Jackery panels, and they're gonna be good with these 8mm barrel ports. 2 more really nice things about the Jackery 5000 Plus is the expansion batteries are also 5 kilowatt hours. That's the same capacity that's inside of here, and it uses LFP cells, which is called lithium iron phosphate. All that means is it's a little bit heavier than other lithium types of batteries, but it's gonna easily last over 3,500 to 4,000 cycles before you get to 80% efficiency. Meaning, right now, you can get around 5,000 watt hours out of the battery in DC power. In 10 to 15 years of nonstop use, it's gonna be closer to 4,000 watt hours that you'd actually get from the battery. A lot of testing on LFP battery cells shows that they actually don't degrade that fast, but that's what it's spec'd out to. The last thing that really sets this apart from everything else on the market is the price. I've seen these as low as 3,000. There's gonna be some Prime Day sales going on soon or right about now. I don't know if they're gonna get that low, but I do know I can regularly find these for about $3,500, which is a really good price for what you get. 6,000 watt split phase inverter, 5 kilowatt hour battery with 5.2 kilowatts of solar input, if you're using the Jackery solar inputs as well. By comparison, this Anker Solix F3800 Plus, it's also a pretty good unit, but it's about the same price, if not a little bit more. It has the same 6,000 watt inverter with split phase output, but it will only let in up to 3,200 watts of solar. And on top of that, it's only 3.84 kilowatt hours of battery, so it's substantially less than what you get in the Jackery. But this also has a special adapter for charging quickly off of a gas generator that this unit does not have. Both of these units suffer from one major thing, and that is you cannot charge from 120 volt input while outputting 240 volt power. That's where the Anker would be helpful because you can charge it using a gas generator and still be getting out 240 volts. So whether you're running a house or renting an RV, the Jackery 5000 Plus is absolutely one unit that I highly recommend. Now the Jackery HomePower3000 is another good portable unit if you don't need expansion batteries or a ton of solar input. This thing is a little hefty, but the fact that this has a full 30 amp capability, meaning it has 3,600 watts of output capacity, is impressive for a unit of this size. That means if you were to use this in an RV, you could plug your RV directly into this and you can power a 30 amp RV with really without any issues, minus how long it'll run. Running something like an RV refrigerator or an air conditioner is definitely going to drain this unit pretty quickly. With a total battery capacity of 3,072 watt hours, that is a large battery for a unit of this size, but even just running an air conditioner in an RV for 2 to 2.5 hours would drain this down to 0. That's where I wish this had expandable batteries, but that's not what this unit is designed for. This is more so designed for light camping where you're not running heavy equipment in a small RV, or if you wanted to use this at home. For reference, this would run a refrigerator and a freezer and Wi-Fi and some lights for at least 24 hours pretty reliably, depending on the conditions. It has 2 of their proprietary solar connection ports, and it'll recharge in as little as 3 to 4 hours if you max out the 1,000 watts of solar input that can go into this unit. So with this much output and this much battery and this much solar, this would be a good option for overlanding or a van life setup. But running something like a diesel heater during the winter and a max air fan to keep the van cool, this is something that would definitely work for those purposes. Now, still looking much more portable, but still very powerful, is the Jackery 2000 V2. This truly is easy enough for one person to move around. This has a 2200 watt inverter, which means anything that you would want to run that can plug into a normal house outlet, this will run it without any problems. And with a 2042 watt-hour battery, if you're also just looking for portable power to recharge your batteries for your drones or your tools or whatever it is, this is a good option because of the larger battery capacity. But another pump that I've used is at my off-grid cabin, I sometimes have to either fill or drain our cistern tank, and it's about 1,000 gallons. So I use an 1800 watt water pump that I can connect straight to here. And even though it surges really hard when it turns on, this has no difficulty running that pump, and I'm able to completely drain or fill the tank very easily. But if you need something that's really light and still has a good amount of power, then the Jackery 1000 will fit that role. It only has a 1500 watt inverter and a 1070 watt hour battery, and will only let in about 400 watts of solar. I've also seen bands use power stations just like the Jackery 1000, so that way they can do live performances, and this is able to handle that for at least a couple of hours generally after the sun goes down. This actually reminds me a lot of the Energy Kodiak, which some of my very first videos on this channel were specifically about that unit. This has very similar specs to that unit. Seriously, very portable, not hard to move around. This is just for running basics while being able to surge up to 3,000 watts and then continuously run up to 1,500 watts. So most appliances that you can plug into a normal house outlet will run off of this. The question will become how long, because you only have about 1,070 watt hours and only 400 watts of solar input. This may not be the best for home backup power. I don't think it's big enough for that, but for just portable on-the-go power, I do think it's a good option for that. And last but not least is their tiny 300. This thing is super cool, actually. The fact that it has a 300 watt pure sine wave inverter in a case this small with a 294 watt hour battery is actually really cool to me. Now, I've only ever seen about 80 watts go into this. You can technically get up to about 100 watts if I'm not mistaken. But that means it's gonna take about 3.5 hours to fully recharge this from 0 to full. This is really good for charging phones and tablets and batteries for drones. I actually know someone who lives completely off grid, and they have 2 of these that they regularly charge up. That way, in case there's multiple days of power outage, they can at least have this backup for their phones and their tablet. So in the Jackery family, in the Jackery lineup of units, the 5000 Plus is my absolute favorite that they make. I wish they would take some of the features like the MC4 connectors and put it into these other units, but Jackery's gonna do what Jackery's gonna do. At minimum, they still make very reliable units. Of all of my Jackeries that I've ever purchased or had, I've never once had a single warranty claim on one of them. So that definitely stands out amongst the other units out there, because on most brands I've had at least one warranty claim between at least one of their units. That would include EcoFlow and High Solus and Bluetti and Anchor Solix and previously Point Zero Energy. All of those companies and their units, I've had at least one issue. Never with the Jackery. And their customer service is really top notch. Every single one of these comes with a 5-year warranty, and every time that I call in, I talk to someone who speaks English clearly and knows what I'm talking about when I ask semi-complicated questions. So in my opinion, Jackery is not the one brand that's the best in every single category, but Jackery does have at least one unit to fit pretty much every need out there. Now you can find my comparison of these units to other similar sized units on my free solar generator comparison chart, which I'll have linked down below. And you can also email me to info@poweredportablesolar.com, soon to be info@minutemansolar.com, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about these Jackery units. In the end, I'll put some links down below with some coupon codes. I believe they have some Prime deals coming up, so if you know that there's one of these units that you do want to get, I highly recommend using the coupon code, because you might as well save some money. Now, if you do want to see a way where you can use affordable framed solar panels to expand your solar generator systems, but not have to pay the crazy high prices of flexible solar panels, or as well not have to pay for any permitting or paperwork to set up your solar panels, then definitely check out this video right here. It's going to show you a special stand that you can use with any framed solar panel to accomplish all of that.